The Rise of Kylo Ren. This is another boring Disney comic, and it begins right after Luke tries to kill Ben Solo. We also get a lot of the original Ren in this comic. Here he is. Kind of a mediocre design and not a very interesting character. I think he also appears in some of the Disney Vader comics, so this character's been around for a while. So we see Ben at the Jedi Temple after his confrontation with Luke, right when some of Luke's other students arrive back on the planet. Now in The Last Jedi, Luke says to Rey Ben left with a handful of his students. I'm just going to assume he's referring to these students even though he did not technically leave with them. He left and then they followed him. But these comics and novels contradicting what's in the films is nothing new for Disney Star Wars. Ben tries to explain himself, but they don't really believe him, and then he goes to escape. And he's actually able to fight all three of them off seemingly pretty easily, and that just makes Rey constantly beating Kylo even more laughable. We also see that after the clash between Luke and Kylo, the temple just kind of explodes. I assume the First Order was behind this, but apparently Ben had nothing to do with that and he didn't want that to happen. You never get that impression in the films. It's always like Ben destroyed the temple and killed a bunch of students, but I guess that's just not how it happened. If we consider this comic part of the Disney canon, which none of the creatives who were working on these shows and movies seem to do because they don't give a fuck about these comics or these novels, they don't give a shit about continuity. But Ben leaves that temple and goes to Snoke's secret planet hideout. It looks like a garden of sorts in space. We never see this in the films. Obviously, this novel was released in 2019, so after the sequel trilogy. It would have been cool to see something like this in the sequels instead of basically nothing interesting at all. And Snoke, he looks crazy here. He just looks stupid at this fucking art style. He looks disgusting. What a pedophile looking motherfucker. And it's Ben's idea to go and join the Knights of Ren to train, I guess. These guys don't seem that impressive, so I don't know why he thought this was a good idea. And Ben hates his name. He hates the name Ben Solo. He doesn't like that he's named after Obi-Wan Kenobi, some big famous Jedi that he's never met. And here he goes on about everything being a lie, his name, the legacy or whatever. Like, I don't know where this comes from. It's never explained really. But we get a flashback to the first time Ben met the Knights of Ren, and he's also accompanied by Luke and a character called Lore, who is the guy that Ben kills at the start of The Force Awakens. And even all the way back here, we see that Snoke is communicating through the Force with Ben. He's talking to him through the Force, and Ben is talking to him. So if this is something that Ben knew Snoke could do, why didn't he ever consider that maybe he's the one who linked Rey's mind to Ben's so that they could communicate? Whatever. Obviously, this is retroactively included in Ben's past so it can explain what happens in The Last Jedi, but it also brings up multiple questions about why Ben doesn't even know that Snoke did this. He never even considers that. It's like a surprise to him. But basically, they go to this planet for Jedi artifacts, and it's apparently a treasure trove. And guess who's there to steal shit? The Knights of Ren, because that's all they do is steal things. They go to fight Luke. He beats them back and then they run away because Luke is too powerful for them. It would have been nice to see this version of Luke in the sequels, but whatever. And Ren says that he can sense the shadow in Ben Solo. And I guess that means the dark side. That's what he refers to it as, the shadow, fair enough, whatever. But this whole time Ben has been conflicted with the light and the dark. Is it because of Snoke's influence on him that he is so conflicted? That he has the darkness within him? Or are they really trying to say that it's just inherent in the Skywalker blood? It's never really explained. It's just shit. And then we get to see Ren's face and he just mugs them and leaves, or whatever. Ren leaves his helmet there and it's still there years later when Ben returns. He puts the helmet on and he's able to immediately communicate with Ren using his helmet. It reminds me of The Acolyte when Osha puts on whatever his fucking name. What's that guy's name? Chimera? She puts on his helmet and has like a flashback or something. All these hacks just have the same ideas, unless Leslie Headland got it from this comic. Whatever, who gives a fuck. Those other 3 Jedi that survived did follow Ben here, but it's all so boring, I'm just gonna skip over that. They ended up surviving the fight, but he still fought all 3 of them off. Ben does go on to talk about those characters and explain who they are, but who cares, honestly. So Ben joins the Knights and he gets this temporary outfit, whatever. I guess one of the Jedi actually did die, and the last 2 came to face Ben and the Knights. They have this big fight, they both get killed, and then Ben decides to kill Ren and take over the Knights. He even calls himself the Shadow. He says, "I am the Shadow." Fucking gay. But yeah, they have this fight, and during the fight, we get glimpses of Snoke, Leia, Rey, and Palpatine all sensing this fight through the Force. How long has Palpatine been alive? Was it right after he died, he came back into this clone body or something? His essence was transferred into this clone? Is Dave Filoni ever gonna get around to explaining this shit? But yeah, Ren dies, Kylo takes over the Knights, and then he bleeds his crystal. And it's all dramatic and super epic or whatever they try to do, and like, I just think bleeding crystals is so cringe. It's stupid, I hate it. Just use a synthetic crystal. You didn't need to change that. But yeah, that's it really. This is such a nothing comic. It probably would have made a better film, better than the sequels. We should have gotten stories like this instead of what we got in those movies. They should just turn this into an animated bullshit show. Instead of doing all these Tales shows like Jedi and Empire and Underworld, why not expand on the backstory of these sequel characters? They're never going away, guys. They're never going anywhere. You'd think these people would want to actually make these characters more interesting and give people more info on them, so when they watch the sequels again, it's not a complete fucking mess. But who cares? This shit was mediocre. It's fucking lame. Just like that last Kylo Ren comic. I don't recommend you fucking read it. That's why I made this video, so you don't have to do that. Luckily, it was only 4 issues. But that's 4 issues too many because fuck this character. And there are so many people who say Kylo Ren's a great character in the sequels, he's the only good thing about them. You're a fucking idiot if you believe that. Fuck this character, fuck Disney Star Wars. Thanks for watching, I'm getting the fuck out of here.